G'day everyone, it's Jordi here, and you also have Steph, and you are listening to this week's newest episode of Spooky Mountain. And I'm very excited, Steph, to hear what you have coming up this week. What's your story?
Yeah, weird one.
Weird one, cool.
I changed this a few times because I started off on, I can't even remember what the first idea was, but ended up on this one, which I have never heard of before, and I got into it and I thought it was really cool. So it's a bit of a history one, like a historic location that has quite recently been discovered, but there's so much weirdness around it.
Oh, interesting.
It's a very strange one, and it can go into so many different directions where it's like, what does this mean? Does this mean anything? It's very strange. It's a very strange one.
Yeah. I have no idea what possibly be.
I would be so surprised if you knew what it was because, I mean, I had no idea. So
yeah, if you've got no idea, then I've got no fucking idea.
No way. I'd be surprised if anyone knows what this is, but yeah.
Oh,
it's
exciting.
Cool. What about yours?
So mine is a possession. I am on week number 3 of spooky shit.
Yeah, fuck, you've been getting some real spooky ones in there.
And it's not intentional either. I don't mean to. I'm so drawn to the spoopy ones.
The spoopy ones.
So I think as soon as I discover or I research a really freaky one, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. I'm so into this shit.
Okay, good.
But this is one that I'm sure you have heard of. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people have heard of it.
Okay.
But I'm getting into like the details of this case.
The nitty-gritty of it all.
The nitty-gritty, yes, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, mine, I don't know if mine's scary. It could be. No, it is pretty it's just very odd that makes you feel uncomfortable. So
I like those ones.
Yeah, but yours is going to just really top it off at the end and just make sure no one sleeps, which is what we want to do.
Exactly.
So, well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you would like to support us or the show and you love what we do, we have a Patreon. So we've got all the links in the show notes. Our Patreon is so there's 2 tiers you can sign up to. They've got what they include in the bottom, but we've got exclusive posts, we do special videos, we've got a private Discord group, so lots of benefits that you get when you sign up. Otherwise, if not, it would be amazing if you could leave us a review or a rating on the podcast app, because that helps us grow a lot. So that would be fucking awesome if you could just leave us a sweet ass review.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't leave us a review, I'm going to break into your house and hide under your bed and tickle your feet when you're asleep. Because I'm a creep like that.
Yeah.
Also, we're mainly active on Instagram and Facebook and other various social media platforms. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook is where it's at for Spooky Mountain. So follow along if you want to kind of watch what we're doing and get updates and also get all our social images. But you can find like all our links to our social media on our website as well as our show notes underneath the episode, in the episode description. We also would love so much to hear your own scary true stories, true experiences that have happened to you. So you can contact us on social media with your own story, or you can leave us a speak pipe message, which you can find on our website, or just send us an email at spookymountainpodcast@gmail.com, or even if you just want to say hi. Like, I mean, we always just want to chat with people. So do any of those things above and we'll be very happy.
Yeah, because we're always willing to do another listener episode as well. So it relies on your stories, which we all know you have. So,
yes.
We've got a couple in the bank ready to go, but we just need a few more. So, whatever it is, even if it's just fucking weird and you're not sure how to feel about it, we'll read it, you know?
We'll let you know how you feel about it.
Yeah, we will let you fucking know.
We will
that's
tell
for sure.
you, yes.
Yeah. So we've got our show coming up next week, Jordi.
Oh my fucking god, I'm so G'd up. I am
Okay,
G'd
I
up.
didn't think it was going to go that way. You're like, I'm fucking not looking forward to
I'm
it.
very G'd up. I'm also nervous because like I know, so Steph and I, we're doing our regular thing where we don't tell each other what stories we're going to tell, but we know a general topic like genre. So I have my genres picked out, and I have my stories started, but I'm so like nervous that they're not good enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because it's a live show, I want it to be just really like scary.
I've done
and
my
intense.
first two stories and I was kind of feeling that as well. I think because as well, they're a lot shorter.
Exactly.
So you don't really get to get into the details a bit more and like try to prove where this like person comes from, or you know, it's just quite a brief thing. So
it's a shorter time frame for sure.
It's kind of an experiment for us as well. Like maybe it will work really well, and people will like it. But otherwise, it's maybe not, and we'll just stick to our normal format.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are really going to like it. We've sold like a fair few tickets already, so if you wanted to buy a ticket, you have to do this online.
We'll put a link in the notes for this.
Yeah,
one.
link in the show notes. Links on our Instagram as well. You can like find it in our bio. But yeah, no tickets on the door. When you buy your ticket online, you can also order food if you want to, and I highly recommend you do this because their food is the shit. It's so tasty. But yeah, so do that if you want to come along. We really want to see you in person.
Oh, it'll be so exciting. I know it's a crazy thing to think about that we're doing a show, but
oh no, and we get to meet fans. We have fans.
I know. That's like the weirdest thing.
I know.
It's not even a year into our podcast and we're already doing a show. We've already got a Patreon, because I remember, Jordi, we were like, there's no way we're even going to do a Patreon until we're like a year in. Like,
I know.
You know, and we were just like, oh my God, I think we actually need to do it already.
We started our Patreon like months back now.
Yeah. It's been like 6 months, I think we've had it for.
Yeah. And we had to start it. Like we really kind of had to in a way, because
the fees and the website was all starting.
Exactly. And we just had a lot of people following us, and it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't start a Patreon.
Yeah.
But I know that Steph and I also want to talk about something else that is very dear to our hearts. So on a few episodes now, we have spoken about a house that we have dubbed the Katoomba House, and it really is kind of like what brought Steph and I together in terms of like the paranormal, but also our friendship. Like it's how we really, you know, got connected in that kind of way.
Bonded a bit from there.
Yeah. And this house was super fucking haunted. Like, wet your bed haunted.
Yeah. Like people that would just come there for the first time would have experiences, and everyone just kind of knew of this house from hearing friends. But I guess, so what's happened? Well, it was about a week ago now?
Yeah, it was about a week ago.
So I was just talking to my sisters, because me and my sisters have a group chat, and my sister just literally put a link to the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and it said it was sold last year. And I was like, oh, because someone else bought the house a few years ago and they were renovating it. And I was like, oh, okay, no worries. And then they sold it. And then I was like, oh my God, I looked at the images and I just sent it straight to Jordi. And I was like, Jordi, what the actual fuck have they done to the house?
I almost cried.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, I was this house was like, it was so charming. It was like a cottage. Kitchen had the original stove in it, didn't it?
It had the original stove. It had a lot of the original like cabinets. There was a lot of the original wood in there. There was wood from outside that was just kind of built into, because we kind of renovated it a little bit as well and just made it a little bit, kept to the theme of the house.
Yeah.
But so I think it was 2 guys that bought it, and it shows, no
typical,
offense, but
it's ugly as fuck.
There was no ugly women involved in this at all.
It went from the most charming yet kind of spooky house to like the ugliest house you've ever seen.
The bathroom is a completely modern hotel looking bathroom.
Yeah, there's no bathtub.
There's no bathtub. You know what's so funny about the bathroom? So that bathroom, if you were to scrape the paint off the floor and the walls, there'd be like 6 layers of paint of
it's just
different
been
colours.
painted over.
We painted it well, my mum, because she was a real person of going to Bunnings, like a hardware store, and buying the little tester pots for like $5, and she'd come back with like an emerald green and be like, bathroom floor. And it would be like black, emerald green, hot pink. There was a rusty orange at one point, like because it was a concrete floor, so she'd just always paint the floor some fucked up colour.
Well, you got to get the right colour for your bathroom, you know. Can I ask you, did you ever have any like scary, spooky experiences in that bathroom?
Well, the only not in the bathroom. I think that was probably the safe. It's weird because
your safe place, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the one room that I didn't have really anything happen to me in. Even though my first experience was in front of the bathroom door.
Oh, that's true.
The man being hung in front of the door. But inside, there were nights, which is so grim to think about, I'd be too scared to sleep in my bedroom, and it would be winter and it would be freezing. And we had like a tiny little oil heater in there, and we had like big shaggy bathroom rugs. I would turn on the heater in there and I would just bring my doona in and I would sleep on the floor in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that's like at least 5 times I can think of that, where I was like, it was cozy and warm in there. Mum had like a little lamp in there. So, very hippie, like cottage house.
Yeah, so very different to the rest of the house.
Yeah.
In terms of like how it felt and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I always felt kind of uncomfortable because I'm like a chronic bath person. Like I only ever have baths, and so I just sit in the bath, and I don't know. I just always felt a little bit uncomfortable in there.
The bath. Now I think about it, there was times, when I'd be laying in the bath. I think because it's high ceilings in there too.
Yeah. Which
does make it seem a little creepier. So you'd be laying back in the bath, and which is at the end of the bathroom, and then it's quite long where the door is at the other end.
Yep.
So, because when you lived there, was there like a dark purple, like a mauve kind of wall?
Yeah, it was like a red, like a
so it was a little bit ominous.
Maybe that's just what it was. Maybe it was just the paint and the high ceilings and stuff.
Yeah, like, I mean, don't know, but there was it was a little bit weird in the bath.
Yeah, I never saw anything in that room or experienced anything. It was just, maybe just like me creeping myself out a little bit. I don't know. But I mean, if anyone's interested in looking at the photos of the house, let us know.
Yeah,
and we'll send through the link.
We'll send you the link because it's hard to kind of. I posted photos of what it looked like back in the day, so quite far back. But they just bought like really cheap wooden cabinets and just knocked the whole. They completely closed the door where we've seen many ghosts walk through before. I think they've made the ghosts angry in that house. Like I reckon they've made it angrier.
This is what I was thinking also, that the spirits are pissed.
Yeah,
I don't think
they've changed it too much.
Yeah.
The whole front yard's gone. All the grass is gone. They've just put gravel
there,
instead of a front yard.
I think especially with the kitchen where it was one of those original fire stoves, right? Like it was one of those like big metal fire stoves. And so that would have been like original to the property, or at least like very close to original to the property. And so
it's all
I don't know, to kind of disturb all that kind of stuff doesn't feel good.
No, not at all. Well,
anyway.
Well, I've got a little story just before I get into mine.
Okay.
Which I thought was really cool, which I was like, I've got to tell Jordi this. So,
yes, I love that I'm your go-to for these kinds of things.
It's just a kind of little quirky thing that I heard. So I went up yesterday to go visit Dylan's family. Mm-hmm. So his nan sadly passed away a few weeks ago. Aww. So we kind of just had like a nice little memorial day for her. Went to the beach and everything. And we're at his mum's house and we're going through all of these photos that she had in the house. And we're, looking at all these photos and stuff. And we found the original telegrams of when she got married. Oh, so they're like these big, beautiful cardboard cards. And inside were like telegrams that is posted on there.
Yeah, that is so nice.
They were really cool. And Dylan's mum was like, you know what's really cool about that? And she doesn't, like, I think she forgets I do a podcast as well. So it's just funny that she just brought this up. But she was like, yeah, you know what's really cool? So when they got married at Hampton Court, which is where.
No way.
Yeah.
That is
and she
amazing.
She got married there, and she said, she's like, my whole childhood, my mum would always tell me on my wedding day, she saw Anne Boleyn holding her head in the gardens.
Way. Oh my God. I'm about to lose my shit about this.
I was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, she would tell me that. I swear, I can't even tell you how young I was, but she always said on my wedding day, she looked over in the gardens and Anne Boleyn was standing there. She had her hand, her arm holding her head.
That is so hectic.
Yeah.
So if anyone isn't sure what we're talking about, on our Valentine's Day episode, I covered the ghost of Anne Boleyn, and multiple people have seen her holding her head at like Hampton Court and like a whole bunch of other places around like England and stuff. That is wild. I didn't even realize that people could get married at Hampton.
Yeah, apparently it's
Court?
like, well, I mean, this was like the 40s or the 50s.
Oh, a while ago. Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's
a very
amazing.
long time ago. Yeah.
I would give anything to see Anne Boleyn's headless ghost
On your wedding day?
on your fucking wedding day.
She
as
was
well.
getting married and she's like, oh, shit.
That's a bad omen.
Yeah.
Or a good
I don't think it
omen. Who knows?
lasted. Oh, my God. So, yeah, I thought that was cool.
That is a great story. Thank you for telling us that.
Oh, no worries. So, now I'll get into my proper story.
Okay.
So, so this week, oh, man, we're going way back in time.
Okay.
Further than pretty much anything we've done before at this point. Yeah,
nice.
so I think it's like the oldest one we've done. So I found this story recently. I thought it was super fascinating and interesting. I think everyone will too, I hope. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. It's about a structure that predates the Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wow.
And this is not something that can be seen above ground, as it's underground on a very tiny Mediterranean island called Malta.
Okay.
So we'll just do a quick, brief history of Malta, just to kind of, if no one really understands what it is. But it's a small island south of Italy. It has a very long and complicated history due to being part of Europe. But at one point, the Ottoman Empire tried to invade Malta due to its important location between, Africa, the Middle East, the Mediterranean. Everyone wanted Malta. And, they wanted to gain control of it so they could have full control over the Mediterranean.
Okay.
So the Christian Knights of Malta were known as some of the best knights they were. They fought long and hard and they defended the island. Unfortunately, the Ottomans had a much larger army, so when they captured the Knights of Malta, they actually put their bodies on wooden crosses and let them float over the ocean to Malta to kind of like fucking try to traumatize them.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah, I know, trying to fuck with them. Yeah. But Malta, they were just like, no, that's not going to fucking do it. That's not going to scare us. So with
Joke's on you, we love dead bodies.
Yeah, thank you. These crosses are beautiful. So with their prisoners of the Ottomans that they had, they cut off their heads and used the heads as cannonballs in their fights.
Holy shit.
Just so grim. Oh.
This is giving me Vlad the Impaler vibes.
Oh, yeah. It's just insane old fight shit. It's just crazy. But eventually other parts of Europe came to help and the Ottomans were defeated, meaning the Knights still had control over Malta. But in 1788, Napoleon banished all the Christian Knights from Malta, which started the rumour of Crusader treasure hidden in many underground caves in Malta. So we're going to now move to 1902. So we're going to kind of flip-flop a bit here, but it'll kind of make sense.
Yep.
So we're in 1902. There's two men in Malta. They're working on building a new housing subdivision when the floor beneath them caves in. The two men had uncovered what is known today as Malta's Hypogeum, which is Greek for underground. So have you heard of Malta's Hypogeum before?
I haven't.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, or also known as Hypogeum of House Saflieni as well.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it's very I was like, I have no idea what this is.
Cool, but no, I haven't. I haven't heard of this. Very exciting.
So it is a large underground bizarre temple that would eventually be added to the World Heritage Site list. So the men that found it, they did try to keep it a secret, as they didn't want to interrupt the building schedule. So they continued building the houses.
Oh my God.
While they're doing that, they unfortunately did cause quite a bit of damage.
Of course they fucking did.
Yeah, fucking assholes. So what they were damaging was the large megalithic circle that stood directly above the underground structure. So it was like this main big part. They just fucked it up.
Imagine being like the boss of those guys who was just like, just keep on building, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they paid for it now.
I hope so.
So not long after, the workers started exploring the caves themselves, and after seeing what was inside, they decided to tell a priest. Then people ended up finding out about the Hypogeum, because the priest was like, oh, no, no, I'm not keeping this a fucking secret.
Yeah.
So Manuel Magri, he would take over the excavations on behalf of the museum's committee, but he didn't run this very well at all. Architects have confirmed that this is the oldest prehistoric underground temple, dating back to 3000 BC.
Wow, that's a lot of years.
Yes, really thousands of years.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's also been thought to be a sanctuary or a massive tomb due to finding the remains of over 7,000 people down there.
Holy shit. This is the most haunted location in the world.
I know, right? It's so fucked. There are also a lot of unexplained things in this temple that I will get into later. But starting in November 2003, so only a year after it was kind of discovered, Manuel, the architect, started to remove some of the really important artifacts, and he did not really catalogue these at all.
Oh, this fucking guy.
I know, he was just so lazy and was just like, take it all out. He was taking the bodies, so
oh my God,
so many of the bodies, heaps of beads, amulets, intricate pottery, carved figurines.
It's like destroying history.
Yeah, exactly. On the inside, several of the main chambers are still very decorated with black and white checkerboards, and the walls are all painted with red ochre in spirals and honeycomb patterns, which makes it the only place in Malta with prehistoric paintings.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There are many historic structures above ground in Malta that are still there. However, they are mostly in ruins, so they have not been able to document any of that properly. The Hypogeum, though, it shows how it would have been decorated, built,
true.
And it gives us an idea on how they would have constructed their temples and buildings back then.
It's been preserved.
It is in like pristine condition down there. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's amazing. The entire structure is carved into limestone using antlers, flint, and obsidian tools, and it has 3 levels. When they first discovered it on the ground level, they entered the top level. So the top, floor 1, let's just say. And then later they found the other 2 levels below. But when you enter through the top, you follow the levels down, which are all tombs, and there are specific chambers that are a lot larger with cathedral-like ceilings. Very high up, super impressive of the time. It's just amazing. You would not think that they're as old as they are looking at the photos. There are lots of little side chambers as well that are actually just deep pits that just drop down into the bottom floor, which is really strange.
Oh, strange. I wonder what they were for.
Yeah, you think it's like a hallway and then it just
drops
ends.
down.
Ooh. National Geographic. Now, they released a story in 1940 that was reported to them about this mysterious structure and Malta's tunnels, apparently. In the article, it states, you used to be able to walk from one end of Malta to the other purely using underground tunnels. But all the entrances have now been closed due to a tragedy. Apparently, a teacher with about 30 children went to visit on a sightseeing tour and never came out, and their bodies or any evidence of them have never been found.
Oh my God, they just disappeared.
Yes.
They're gone.
Yes. Now, many of the locals say that this could be a rumor. But there is nothing else really to read about this story. It's hard with this one. There's not really too much you can find about it. Many people do believe that it was also kind of pushed under the rug due to it being such a small community there,
Yes.
and they didn't want to have such a bad story getting out and
just a
putting
bit of
them in a bad
controversy.
light. Although there is an account from a woman named Lois Jessup who worked in Malta at the British Embassy. So she wrote an article titled Malta Entrance to the Cavern World. She has a detailed description of her first visit to the Hypogeum and how she convinced the guide to let her and a couple of her friends explore a part of the lower chamber on their own. So this is a little excerpt from her article. I was wearing a dress with a long sash that day, and I decided to lead the group, and I asked the fellow behind me to hold on to it. So, with half-burnt candles in our hands, the four of us started through that low, narrow passage, groping and laughing our way through. I came out first, of course, onto a ledge pathway, only 2 feet wide, with a sheer drop of 50 feet or more on my right and a wall on my left. I took a step forward, keeping close to the rock wall side. The person behind me, still holding onto my sash, was still in the tunnel. I held my candle higher and peered down into the abyss, thinking with this dangerous drop it was better not to go on further without a guide. Then I saw about 20 persons of giant stature emerge from an opening deep below me.
Oh my God.
They were walking in single file along another narrow ledge down below. Their height I judged to be about 20 to 25 feet.
Oh, fuck that.
Since their heads came up about halfway on the wall on the opposite side of the cave. They walked very slowly, taking long strides. Then they all stopped, turned, and raised their heads in my direction.
Oh my God.
All simultaneously raised their arms and with their hands beckoning to me. The movement was something like snatching or feeling for something as the palms of their hands were turned down.
Oh, fuck that.
So,
That is terrifying.
yeah. So we've entered that. Now, Lois experienced this in the 1930s. So this was actually before the story of the lost children came
The
out.
children.
Yes.
Okay.
And people in Malta, all around the island, have actually claimed to hear cries of children underneath the ground. And have not been able to find anything, but they've done like full search parties and shit. But yeah, apparently people around the island like can hear children crying underground.
It's the kids. It's the lost kids.
It's fucked up. Now, if you listen to our Hollow Earth episode, you know all about the stories of giants and creatures and weird shit living underground. So this isn't the first time we've heard something like this. Although, it obviously sounds super far-fetched, and it is interesting. But tunnels underground are nothing new. There are tunnels under major cities all over the world, and this temple was uncovered just by luck. Could the bottom level of this structure really be an entrance to the underworld? There are also articles that state that Malta has tunnels all over the island and even that run under the ocean to the Vatican in Rome.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty weird shit going on
I
at
know,
the
it's
Vatican
hard- it's-
anyway.
I mean, why not? You know,
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
And the Vatican's weird as fuck anyway. So
Exactly.
don't doubt it. So the whole idea about giants is not something that unheard of. The folklore in Malta actually talks about how it was originally inhabited by giants. So this is something that is in their history.
Coincidence?
There are
I think
many.
not.
Yeah. There are many prehistoric megalithic structures all over Malta, and some of them being so large that they've been claimed to be built by giants. On the island of Gozo, which is Malta's sister island, there are a number of temples that date back to 3600 BC, which makes them one of the oldest ruins in the world. The structures are named Gigantija, which means the place of giants. So
Wow.
Gigantija, I think.
Yes,
It's spelled
that sounds
so strangely.
okay.
Whoa, let's move on. But yeah, one of the temples actually looks like someone's played Jenga with 20-ton stones. Like they're fucking
Wow.
huge.
Okay.
And it stands about 6 meters tall. So it's a really, really big structure. And scholars have actually looked at this and said that to move one of these rocks, it would take 50 men, and the entire temple would have taken 30,372 days to complete.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of, is it the Inca temples? Inca, you know, like the temples where it's like really big stones, but they're like very precisely
Yes.
cut, and it's
laser
like,
cut, kind
like
of
laser
weird.
cut. And
Yes.
today, where like you would have to use laser tools to.
They're insane.
cut
Yeah, I think
this.
they're like in the Inca. Yeah, because like the Aztec one is like the big, crazy. Oh no, I think it might be there
Oh, it's
too. I
Aztec
don't know.
Inca. Oh god, I
Yeah, I know
sound
exactly what
very
you're talking
obnoxious
about.
not knowing
Yeah.
what this is.
But now let's get back onto the inside of the Hypogeum and focus on the thousands of human skeletons that were there. So they were spread around the place in piles, and they were removed from the site. There are a few photos that were taken during the time, and there are a few research notes as well, but not as detailed as we'd like them to be. But what is interesting about this is obviously the large number of people that are there. Did they die there at the same time? Like, it's so strange. Did they smell? How did they die? Was it a burial pit?
Well, yeah. Is it just like essentially a cemetery, or were they like
like did they all die at the
sacrificed
same
or
time
something?
or separately and then were brought
Yes.
there? There is so many questions surrounding over 7,000 bodies. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's a lot to consider.
And then they're removed. So how the fuck are you going to be able to track any of it? But now, in the research notes that we've got and the photos, majority of these skeletons are human. They look completely normal. But there were a few which also had elongated skulls.
Oh, fucking aliens.
Yeah, we've hit that territory. We're
Ancient
back
aliens.
in it. We thought we were going out. No, we're going right back in. So researchers claimed that they are similar to the ones found in Egypt and their serpent priests. So serpent priests were known to have the long skulls as well. And there was no evidence of tampering these skulls by binding, which was used to stretch it out. So that
Or
was
like
not
wrapping or anything like that.
nothing like that.
Okay.
So with this strange information, of course, we now have more questions. Are these just human skulls? Or were they an older race of human that might have died out? Because this is a long time ago. Are they giants as well? Maybe these are the giants that they saw.
Oh, yeah. Or ancient aliens.
Are they aliens?
I think they are.
A couple of aliens amongst the humans? I reckon. But the weirdness doesn't stop there. We're going back in again. We haven't left, and we're going to go a bit deeper.
Left.
Because in the very center of this whole underground temple is a chamber known as the Oracle Chamber. It's a large room with super high ceilings, amazing red ochre patterns all over the roof and down the walls. It's like a masterpiece. It looks amazing. But from this chamber, there are many entrances and openings to the rest of the temple. So lots of little doorways everywhere around it. And like little holes, and it just looks crazy. Now, the reason why this is so odd is because of the acoustics inside this room. If you stand in that room and just speak at a normal tone, it will amplify your voice to 110 hertz, and it can be heard clearly from any part of the temple. It's said that the walls vibrate and you can feel your body buzzing if someone stands in there or sings or plays a tune in that room. And it's said that pretty much you can stand in there, any part of the temple, and it sounds like someone's talking in your ear, like right next to you. It's like that loud.
Yes.
But you can just be speaking normally. But any other part of the temple, if you talk, it doesn't travel like that. But just in that room, you can just speak normally and the sound travels like insanely.
I know. So just quickly, I went to a place I think it's in like South Australia, like outside of Adelaide. And it's I'm pretty sure that's where it is. It's a place called the Whispering Wall.
Oh.
And it's like I think maybe like a retired dam wall or something like that, but it's really, really long and it's kind of curved, but it's like super, super long. And one person stands at one end and you stand at the other end, and the person like whispers really quietly,
that's so cool.
and it sounds like it's right in your ear.
I love that.
It's
That's
amazing.
Cool.
Oh,
in Australia.
It's so wild. It's one of the coolest things that I've experienced, because this wall is like so big.
Right. I've never even heard of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like the curvature of the wall just makes the sound kind of travel.
That's sick.
Weird.
Yeah. Sick. Yeah. So it sounds like something like this, I guess. Yeah.
Kind of similar, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is 3 stories, which is weird.
Yeah, it is different. It is very different. Yeah, same, but different.
Yeah. So the University of Malta, they have studied this a lot, and they've claimed that the human brain responds differently to 110 hertz. In fact, the left side of the brain is activated, which deactivates your language and activates your emotions. Now, if you were to listen to this tone consistently, it would have a hypnotic effect on you. Ooh. With knowing all of this, people claim that the chambers served as centers for social or spiritual events, and the residents of the chamber cavities would have supported human ritual chanting and mystic consciousness.
Oh, creepy.
Which is really creepy, eh?
Yeah.
Can you just imagine like everyone like in this like weird like trance kind of vibe, and
kind of reminds me of like Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen that movie with
I don't
Tom
think
Cruise?
I have.
Oh, it's like boring but very good.
Oh,
But yeah, it kind of reminds me of like groups of people chanting. This isn't what happens in the movie, but it is like the scene that you just kind of set out. It reminds me of like people chanting and someone's about to be like sacrificed.
Yes.
But
Well, yeah. I mean, now, we're on the same page. I think that's what everyone's thinking now. It's super funny.
Yeah.
Once it was already creepy, but then you just imagine this room and you're like, oh no, like this is weird.
Yeah, that's worse.
So it's really cool if you haven't like looked at the images before you listen to the story, because it is a really cool place to just imagine what it would have been like during that time. Maybe if there was a ceremony, just hundreds of people. There'd be hundreds of people placed all around the temple. Super weird, like trance. There's like a priest in the middle. Maybe someone's being sacrificed. Who fucking knows? It's just some weird shit. Although it is hard to tell really what actually happened. We don't even know what their religion was back then. We don't know what their technical knowledge was. There also seemed to be an abrupt end to the megalithic culture. So that is also really mysterious. It just ended. And the National Museum states that Malta was uninhabited for hundreds of years as well. But it seems like during that time where it was uninhabited, someone deliberately damaged, broke, and burnt many of the old structures on Malta. So that was what they were surprised about, like when it was ruined a long time ago. This isn't a
Right.
recent like damage, so
That's
they weren't
so
sure if someone's
strange.
trying to hide that past.
Yes, or if it's
Yeah.
just someone like vandalizing on.
Yeah, but it's weird because it was so long ago that people
Yeah.
inhabited the island, like maybe 1,000 years ago, and all of that shit was already destroyed when there should have been no one on the island. So
Yeah, very strange.
it is super odd. But the good news is that the Hypogeum was in such a good state due to the fact that it was so humid down there that apparently it just kept the moisture in the rocks.
Okay.
So it was completely untouched down there when they found it. Even though a lot of shit was taken out, everything else is perfect and untouched. And the ceiling got a bit fucked up, but it's now open to the public. It's been open for about 100 years now, so you can actually go in there. There has been a tiny bit of water damage and stuff, but they've kind of made their own like microclimate thing now because it's part of the World Heritage Site, so it's pretty much okay now. But yeah, that's my story for today.
That's
Which
really
is
cool.
just so weird.
Oh god, that part with
It's kind of hard to wrap that one up, but it's like, yeah.
that's it. It's
That's
a
it.
really cool
Yeah.
piece of history, and that part with the giants literally gave me goosebumps on my skin.
Could
you-
They just
and-
all turned and looked at her and be like, I'm
Exactly,
gonna
that is the
myself, this
part that really
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah.
Because like it's scary enough seeing a bunch of giants, like
It was
spectral
so scary,
giants,
20
or just
of them.
I know. And then they all, because it was all at the same time, they looked
Yeah.
at this person, right? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's a no
Yeah.
from me.
It's so strange. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. The history of Malta, like, just even, there are so many old structures in Malta. I could not believe it. Like, they are amazing, but they're so destroyed that there's,
Yeah.
like, it's hard to really know what they just had nothing to base it off, like, oh, what it could have looked like. You know, when you go around like Italy or somewhere else, a lot of it is still kind of standing. But yeah, in Malta, it's all just like rubbles kind of. But when they found that just fucking changed everything.
Oh, what an amazing thing to find. Because I guess like the people of Malta now kind of have
Yeah.
some more history to base
Yeah,
their
absolutely.
heritage off,
It's
I
a
guess.
full, like, they just love it. It's iconic. You know, if you, like, even
bet.
just going on Google Maps, it's, like, one of the main things that just pops up if you just hover over the whole of the islands of Malta. It's like, Hypogeum's here.
Gym.
Come check
Yeah,
it out.
wow, that's amazing. It seems like a very kind of eerie place though as well.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be very, very dark down there.
Yes. And even just like not really knowing that part of history with Malta, because everything was kind of destroyed, and then having this, and there's evidence of possible sacrifice and
Yeah.
that kind of shit. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what was Malta up to at these times?
Yeah. Yeah, there's all these rumors as well that, like, one of the tunnels was blocked up apparently, which was actually going to lead onto the other tunnels to part of Malta where there could have been like the treasure being hidden, and it goes on and like, it's just crazy how complicated it can get with that. But
It's like a
who knows?
mystery story, a mystery novel, or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
we're gonna get spooky
I'm so
right
scared.
now, and I don't often do. I don't think I've ever done this, but I
Okay.
am going to give a trigger warning
Oh shit.
before my story, because it does involve mental illness, self-harm, disordered eating, and
We're going in it.
quite
Yeah.
graphic scenes. So, yeah, I mean, like,
Is
we're
this my,
paranormal.
can I use this and just unplug my headphones and just ignore that? I'm joking.
Run away.
No, I mean,
Are you
gonna-
home alone, or do you have?
no, but Dylan's like, when Dylan's asleep, he's not
He's
waking
asleep.
up till the sun's up. So even if I needed help right now, something was happening, I'm on my
You're
own.
alone.
Yeah, so I'm alone.
Well, just also to preemptively create the feeling of eeriness, I will be playing an audio clip.
Oh,
during
no.
this story.
I know what you're fucking doing already now, and I hate it.
Sorry.
I hate it so much.
This will be the last of my super, super spooky stories.
Oh
I promise.
God.
My next one will be like the equivalent of like my Simpsons predictions stories or something like that. But we do have to. We have to do this.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So this week I'm going to be talking about a case that is pretty well known, probably due to the fact that there was actually a movie based on this case. I'm going to be talking about the Exorcism of Anneliese Michel, which the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose was based on. Do you know this one?
Yeah, I do. And the image.
Yes.
The one image.
Yeah.
And I always, everything I fucking do on social media, that image pops up of her and I get so scared.
Oh, yeah. The real life image.
The real life image of her, the real life one, which if everyone knows what the story is, then you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That image also just kind of stayed with me for life.
Absolutely. I'm seeing it right now. I can't even see you. All I can see is her.
Is the image
sitting there? Well, she's telling me the story now.
Yay! I'm so happy that I'm just gonna spook you. Okay, so I've had this story pretty much in the bank since the beginning of the podcast, and I've been umming and ahhing about doing it for so long because this case sits on the line of not actually being a possession or a haunting, but actually a case of severe neglect towards someone who is extremely mentally unwell. But I've decided to do it as it's a very interesting story nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess everyone can kind of make up their minds at the end.
Yeah.
So, Anneliese Michel, she was born in 1952 in an area of West Germany called Klingenberg, and she was born into a family that were violently Catholic, severely devout Catholics. The way that they followed and dedicated themselves to their Catholicism meant that they believed that to be absolved of your sin, others must sacrifice for you to be forgiven by God. So, for example, Annelise and her siblings would often sleep on hard wooden or stone floors in the middle of winter, or skip numerous meals to absolve the sins of people of addiction, people in homelessness, thieves, robbers, etc. They believed that they were repenting for those who were not in a position to ask for forgiveness currently on their own terms. So Annelise was described as a very likable and bright girl who was extremely generous and kind. And aside from the extreme religious upbringing, her childhood was quite regular, like a very kind of standard upbringing.
Okay.
Aside from the religious shit. So the strangeness of Annelise's life would begin in September of 1968 when she was 16 years old. When Annelise one day was in school, as she usually would be, when she would experience the first of many seizures, and it was a kicker. She started convulsing on the ground, and her classmates said that when she entered the seizure, it seemed as if she went into a trance-like state.
Right, okay.
So I personally have worked in disability before, so I've experienced and supported a lot of people having a lot of different varying types of seizures, and I know that this can be quite typical for some to kind of go into a trance state. So for the classmates to witness this isn't totally out of the norm, but it is something to take note of, I guess.
Yeah.
Annelise said that after she came out of her trance and out of the seizure, it felt like something was pinning her down and sitting on her chest, making it hard for her to move and breathe easily. It wouldn't be until, so that's, I mean,
That's fucking weird.
It's weird. I don't know if that can also go along with like
Just having
mm,
chest pain or like that heavy feeling you get. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you might have just you could probably describe it differently. Say someone saying it felt like someone was pinning me down.
It felt like she was pinned down because it wasn't
Yes,
even
that's-
just her chest. It was like her shoulders were kind of being pinned down.
That's weird.
Yeah, very weird. So it wouldn't be until 1 year later that Annelise would experience her next really big seizure. Her parents found her convulsing in her bed in the middle of the night, along with all the other things that come along with a big seizure, such as losing control of your bladder and frothing at the mouth and such.
Yeah.
It was at this point that her family decided they were going to seek medical attention to try and help Annelise, as they were quite worried for her by this point, as you would be.
Yeah, I'd hope so. Yep.
They took Annelise to a neurologist who was named Dr. Luthi, who ran tests and did brain scans to try and find out what was going on with Annelise. After doing numerous tests and brain scans, Dr. Luthi, as well as the regular family doctor named Dr. Vott, could not find a single thing wrong with Annelise's brain. No sign of epilepsy or anything, or any reason why she should be having these seizures.
Okay.
Because usually if you have epilepsy, you have like this big thing on you, like glow. If you're getting a brain scan, like there's areas of your brain that kind of glow and, you know.
Oh, that's weird.
There's big signs of, you know, that kind of thing. So because of this, the specialist really couldn't do anything for Annelise, and she was just sent on her way. Over the next 3 years, Annelise's seizures and convulsions continued. In fact, everything she was experiencing just intensified and got worse. She eventually was prescribed an anticonvulsant medication and an anti-seizure medication called Dilantin. And during this time of her being prescribed the meds, more tests and brain scans were run, and again, absolutely nothing appeared on the results despite her seizures getting worse. Annelise and her family were really scared for her health. It wasn't just affecting her physically, but mentally as well. Around the same time as this, strange phenomena started occurring around Annelise. She began hearing loud knocking sounds coming from somewhere inside her bedroom, and these knocking sounds were heard by her sister also.
Oh.
So we know this was not some kind of hallucination of Annelise's due to her seizures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Something else that was really strange that we know Annelise experienced was that she was beginning to hear a voice telling her that she was going to burn in hell.
Nice.
Pretty nice. Her mum would also randomly just find her angrily staring at a statue of the Virgin Mary with eyes that her mum described as being jet black.
Yeah. Oh my god. That is so scary.
I know. Imagine finding your daughter just like...
Yeah, just turning them around, you're like, oh no.
Hi.
Just stand outside.
Yeah. Bye. So Annelise's family grew more and more concerned for their daughter. So they decided to once again visit Dr. Luthi, the neurologist, to seek further help. In this meeting, Annelise would tell Dr. Luthi that every single day she felt like she was being followed by an odour that smelt like burnt feces.
Oh.
Yeah. And this was a smell that the rest of her family confirmed that they were smelling as well. So again, not a symptom of her seizures. She also told Dr. Luthi that she felt like she had the devil inside of her. The Michel family was advised that the next best course of action would be to admit Annelise into a psychiatric hospital. This was all around the time of spring 1973, so Annelise was around 19 years old. Annelise willingly agreed to being admitted into the hospital, and after weeks of being there with medication changes, medical treatments, amongst other things, her condition was still getting worse, with nothing really helping her or her condition. So they're all just kind
poor
of,
family would have been like, what
do
the
you
fuck
do?
Yeah.
Her seizures were so bad as well. It's not even like the smelly girl and, you know, the voices and stuff. It's like she's convulsing, and that's very dangerous.
It's so traumatic as well. Like, I've only seen one seizure in my time, and it's
horrible.
It's so scary because
It's terrifying, yeah.
you just, everyone's on alert straight away. Like, make sure they're okay. They don't bite their tongue. Make sure they don't hit their head. Like, it's just on. So to deal with that part only, but let alone everything else that's happening as well.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned before, like, I have experienced a lot of people having a lot of seizures, and you never get used to it. It's always just like, oh my God, okay, what do you do? Like, you know, and there's so many different types of seizures as well. And it sounds like these seizures that she's having are like the real big ones.
It sounds
like the
really
major
big.
seizures. Yeah, not good. So it was at this time, while she was in hospital, that Annelise also began having visual hallucinations. And for some people who experience seizures, it is a possibility to have visual hallucinations. But Annelise began having these outside of her seizures at times that weren't before or after a seizure. She said that she would be walking around the hospital, and sometimes she would look at a person's face and it would turn demonic.
Oh, no.
Which is the last thing that you kind of want.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. The face would contort and twist into something that looked like a monster. And according to Annelise, sometimes these faces would look at her and say, "You're going to rot in hell." This was...
Oh my God.
I really feel sorry for this girl.
This is so sad.
An innocent little Catholic girl, and she's being, you know, traumatized.
Yeah. Fuck.
So this was the beginning of Annelise's thoughts moving from her attention being on her seizures to the possibility that she was actually, in fact, possessed.
Right.
And this is what was causing all of this to happen to her. Annelise eventually would come to believe that she was possessed by 6 demons. And she expressed to her family, with them agreeing that modern medicine just wasn't going to help her all of this situation she was in. So as a group, they decided that they would withdraw Annelise from the medical system she was in and the hospital she was attending, and instead they were going to seek answers within the Catholic Church. And in the beginning of their search for help within the church, they had a really hard time finding a figurehead that would help Annelise.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, which...
Coming to someone with this kind of like, story or like history of this girl, they'd be like, oh, okay. Like, you sure you don't want to try medicine a bit more? Like,
well, this is, to be honest, I was very surprised. I was like, yeah, the Catholic Church, they probably just fucking think she's possessed, you know. But yeah, apparently like every priest and clergyman they approached just rejected their ideas of spiritual healing. And yeah, they were told that they just needed to further seek medical attention.
Yeah.
Which
they really don't like doing exorcisms. They really don't like that whole side of things. They try to avoid it if they can, I think. Just to give it a bad name, I think.
I think that's what it is. I think it's the reputation of exorcisms and stuff.
Yeah.
It's become such a big thing, you know. So Annelise and her family were at a loss. And what made it worse was that Annelise's condition was still becoming worse and worse, despite the fact that she was still taking anti-seizure medication that was in fact a stronger type of medication than what she was taking originally.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So everything's getting worse, medication's getting stronger, nothing's working. Annelise's behaviour would eventually become more and more concerning and also quite obsessive as well. Every single day, she would frantically complete 400 squats, refusing to stop until she reached that exact number. At mealtime,
400 squats?
400 fucking squats.
Fuck, her thighs must
I know.
be
Oh,
beasts.
yeah. Thighs of steel.
I want this demon. Come on.
No.
It's the only thing that would get
for a
me
little bit.
working out.
Yeah. So, yeah, she would just like obsessively squat and squat until it was like 400. No more, no less. At mealtime, she would crawl under the kitchen table, refusing to come out, barking like a dog anytime someone would approach her. And she would stay under there for days.
Oh.
For days.
For days,
She would
yeah.
be seen crawling into corners of the house, behind curtains and behind beds, finding spiders and eating them off the ground.
No.
Yeah. Annelise,
No.
girl, come on.
No, come on, girl. There's dinner on the table, girl. Come
Yeah.
on.
You're literally being served meals and you're eating spiders.
Oh my God.
She would also rummage through the fireplace and eat leftover coal amongst the ashes.
For fuck's sake. So her teeth would be like black as well.
No. She would feverishly pray for hours every night, and she would even be found licking her own urine off the ground. So,
Okay.
very
All right.
interesting tastes at the moment, taste buds.
Oh my God.
She would destroy. I just had a really weird noise come through my earphones. Did you hear that?
No. Oh.
That was so weird. Oh, okay.
I wonder if that'll pick up on the recording.
I hope so.
What the fuck?
That
What does
was
it sound
so
like?
fucking weird. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a weird squealing noise.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, I feel really strange. Okay.
Oh
All
no. Ooh, I feel like I need to turn the light on now. I didn't even hear it.
Oh god, I listened to a podcast episode about this the other day, and the people who were hosting it were like, the episode after, they were like, we just want to let everyone know that we had so many people emailing us that when we were doing like the Anneliese Michel episode, that like their audio cut out, their computers shut off, like their phones just randomly shut off.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
If Jordi, if we get a blackout right now, we have to. Spooky Mountain's over. Like we're done.
That's it.
We're not
cannot
doing this
continue
anymore.
We cannot fucking continue.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm feeling strange, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm just going to keep on going.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Annelise, she would also destroy crucifixes, holy pictures and statues, as well as rosaries that were being kept in the house. Annelise also appeared to display what was described as superhuman strength, at one point throwing her sister across the room like a rag doll,
Oh.
crushing an apple into smithereens with a single hand.
Hectic.
Yep.
Oh shit.
This is all types of behaviour that is very concerning, no matter the situation. So,
Yeah.
yes, very
For a
unique
little
behaviour.
child to do that,
Yeah,
that's fucking terrible. If I saw Dylan crush an apple like that, I would be like, no,
damn.
this is not normal. But yeah,
Yeah.
for a little girl to do that and throwing her sister like a rag doll as well. Let's not forget
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, totally. And I'm pretty sure
Oy.
she's like existing on a diet of like spiders.
Oh yeah, true.
And that's pretty much it,
spiders,
you know,
dust,
so it's
coal.
It's not like
Maybe she's onto something though. The squats, the 400 squats of the spiders might
ultimate
be
source of
the
protein.
key to being strong.
It's the secret. So with this strange behavior, Annelise's family really ramped up their search for a priest who would help them in their situation. They really felt like they were in a super dire situation by this point. They eventually found a priest who was named Father Ernst Alt, who was willing to help Annelise. And he truly believed that Annelise was possessed and all of her symptoms were not due to any kind of epilepsy or medical conditions. After consulting with the Michel family, Father Ernst decided that he was going to seek a request from a local bishop, a bishop named Arnold Renz of the Catholic Church, to give him permission to perform an exorcism on Annelise.
Okay.
So permission was given from Bishop Renz to begin the exorcism of Anneliese Michel. And so over the next 10 months, Bishop Renz would perform 67 exorcisms on Annelise.
67.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that a lot? Because it's such a, I haven't personally gone through an exorcism, but I feel like it would be so intense and exhausting and
Just seeing how one
traumatizing.
exorcism looks fucking crazy.
Yes, let alone 67 of them.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Throughout these exorcisms, strange voices would regularly come through Annelise, telling the holy men attending that there were, in fact, 6 demons that inhabited the body and mind of Annelise. Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Nero, Fleischmann, and Adolf Hitler. Upon researching this, I wasn't sure who Fleischmann was. So after looking it up, I found that he was a priest that lived in the 16th century who was defrocked after being accused of assault and murder.
Oh, what the fuck?
And apparently he was just a very evil dude. Very,
How
very
the fuck
evil.
does she even know that?
Exactly. So apparently at this time, it would have been almost impossible for Annelise to even know who Fleischmann was, let alone the details she was giving about him during the exorcisms.
Right.
So this is a very strange aspect of her exorcisms that she was able to do that.
Oh my God.
During these sessions of exorcism between Annelise and the clergyman, Annelise would speak in a guttural, gravelly voice that was extremely different to her own, a voice that her family didn't recognize at all. She would speak in different languages that her family knew she had never learned. She would talk about obscure demons and parts of history that, again, seemed to be outside her spectrum of understanding. Annelise would hiss, growl, scream, and make sounds that seemed almost impossible to create. Because of this, it was decided pretty early on in the piece. Steph, you look so stressed out.
I'm fucking stressed out because I know you're going to play the recording soon and I'm so scared. I'm so scared, Jordi. I'm so scared.
But for everyone listening, I can see Steph as I'm talking into my microphone and you look a little bit scared.
I'm like sweating and it's so cold. Your last story was so scary to me and now I'm just like, what?
Oh my God. Okay, I won't do any more.
No, keep going.
No,
keep going.
okay.
No, I love this. I love this. It's fine.
This podcast is called Spooky Mountain.
I know.
This is what we're here for.
What have I done? No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, all right. So, yes, because of these sessions, they decided that they were going to record. Yeah, they decided to record the sessions. And so, because of this today, we have a large record of 42 recordings of Annelise herself speaking while apparently possessed by these demons. So I'm going to play some for you.
Okay.
Just a warning. If you are easily spooked, this may be a lot for you. And just to note that in the beginning of this audio, you can hear Annelise talking in her regular voice before it changes into all 6 demons periodically. So have a listen.
Okay.
Ja, ich will auch für die anderen leiden, damit die nicht in die Hölle kommen und so. Aber dass das dann so schlimm ist und so grausam und so furchtbar, nee. Das denkt man leiden, das ist so leicht zu sagen, aber wenn es dann wirklich schlimm wird, da will man überhaupt nicht mehr, da will mein Kind schlafen.
Nein, mir Klötze. Und dann machen mir Klötze. Oh, und ja, der will auch nicht. Oh, ich geh auch nicht. Oh.
Sind wir schon 3?
Wie. Was ist so eine Scheiße?
Kind Gottes.
Ich hab mein Maul erschlagen.
Namen des Ruhe gibt's nur dort, wo die Liebe ist.
Ja, bei uns gibt's nur
Nur Hass.
Ja,
Und wo nur Hass ist, da gibt's keine Ruhe.
nein. Und für uns gibt's nie Ruhe. Nie.
Weil
In der Ewigkeit. Und jetzt bin ich verdammt. Die müssen in eigenen Seminaren ausgebildet werden, die dürfen nicht auf die anderen Universitäten. Kapiert?
Klar. Ist da sonst noch etwas zu sagen?
Oh, weil das, weil.
Weil der Teufel größere Macht.
im Namen deines seligen Jungfrau, im Namen Jesu, befehle ich dir auszufahren. Im Namen des dreifaltigen Gottes, des Vaters, im Namen des dreifaltigen Geistes, befehle ich dir auszufahren und nicht
Okay.
So-
My throat hurts just listening to
I
that.
know. That is just one part of one clip. So that is actually one of the less scary ones.
Oh.
Yeah, although that's the only one I could find. That was definitely legal to
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah, they range from just her speaking in different languages and making different noises, and
Wow.
even though that one is quite creepy, it is tame in terms of
Right.
things that
I mean,
happened.
That is, I mean, to think of her throat doing that, you could not do that.
It's
for
just
that
so
long.
wild.
Your throat would be ripped.
And she did it for hours.
Yeah.
Hours,
Yeah.
numerous times over, like,
Like even
all
just
these
doing that for
exorcisms.
like 5 seconds, going like that.
Oh,
You can't
would destroy your
talk and do
vocal
that.
cords,
It's
yeah.
like,
no
Fuck.
way. Yeah, so pretty intense. Yeah, so after these first few exorcisms of Annelise, things did initially seem to improve a little bit for her.
Mm-hmm.
She stopped having seizures altogether. She stopped having auditory and visual hallucinations. Things improved so much for her that she actually re-enrolled in university, the one that she had to drop out of due to her condition.
Mm-hmm.
She was feeling pretty much back to normal. She started seeing friends again. She began attending church again. But unfortunately, this wouldn't last, and Annelise did start going back downhill in the spring of 1976.
Oh,
And all her symptoms hit her like a ton of fucking bricks once
Wow.
again, and she would experience them just tenfold.
oh, just like snorting fucking coal and eating spiders like
Exactly.
just
Oh, yeah,
out of nowhere.
but worse. Yeah.
Okay.
So this time round, Annelise would start to become violent with her family members as well as the clergyman. And it was a really tough situation because if they were around her, she would harm them. But if she was alone, she would harm herself instead. She would bite and scratch herself and cut herself, as well as throwing her head and body against the wall. She also completely stopped eating, even the spiders, and she would tell her family that the demons inside of her were not permitting her to eat.
Oh,
So, despite her extremely frail condition, she still continued to exhibit almost superhuman strength, requiring multiple grown men holding her down to stop her from hurting herself,
crazy.
which seems almost impossible.
That does seem impossible. Yeah.
Even if she was like ramped up on adrenaline, it shouldn't take that much to hold this girl
Yeah.
who doesn't eat.
She's got a very
down.
tiny frame, and for someone that doesn't eat.
Yeah, and she was like very unwell too. Like
Yeah.
she was just generally very sick by this point.
Yeah, that does not make sense.
It really doesn't. So all day, every day, she would be seen standing up and instantly falling down to her knees to intensely pray, almost as if she wasn't physically able to stand without just dropping down to pray.
Oh, wow.
And because of this, she actually ended up breaking both of her kneecaps.
Oh,
And she tore the tendons in both her knees as well.
broke her kneecaps?
She broke her fucking kneecaps. So that is intense praying. If you're breaking your kneecaps, because
Oh my. Yeah, I didn't think that was possible.
I guess
What
you
the
can
fuck?
shatter them.
Yuck.
Yeah, yuck. And despite these injuries, Annelise did not seem to be affected by any kind of pain at all and would continue to just drop to her knees and move as if she wasn't injured. The family of Annelise continued to believe that the intervention she needed was spiritual and religious intervention as opposed to medical intervention, and Annelise agreed with them on this opinion. Although I think it's fair to say that she may not have been in the healthiest state of mind to be making these decisions,
Yeah.
but then up comes the moral dilemma of like, well, she's an adult, so she has the right to refuse treatment even if she's unwell. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a complex issue.
Very, very tricky.
Yeah. And yeah, some say that she should have been force-fed as well as forcibly treated with medication.
Right.
But the Michel family and the clergyman continued with the exorcisms, and ultimately the last exorcism of Annelise would take place on June 30th, 1976. By this point, Annelise was extremely sick. She was so fragile and frail, weighing under 36 kilos,
Whoa.
it's about 80 pounds for everyone else in the world, which is so frail, you know.
Yeah.
Her eyes had huge black circles around them, and her eyes, they also just looked very sunken. She couldn't walk properly, and she still wasn't eating. Her lips were damaged and chewed, and she had marks all over her body from self-harm, such as the biting and scratching. During this last exorcism, her only words would be, "Please, absolution." So, as I said, the last exorcism was on June 30th, and by the next morning, which was the 1st of July, Anneliese Michel had passed away. She was found that morning by her family. She was dead in her bed. And it was concluded that she had died from starvation mixed with dehydration. And she was only 23 years old.
Oh,
And
my God.
so young. Like her life has barely
What a
started.
horrible fucking life she's had. That is.
Yes, and most of it's just taken up by exorcisms and like extreme religious practice.
Yeah, that is horrible.
Yeah. And so at the time of death, she weighed only 30 kilos, about
Fucking
68
hell.
pounds. Very quickly after Anneliese died, word spread like wildfire around Germany of this woman who apparently was possessed by demons and underwent so many exorcisms but ultimately died. Newspapers all through Germany were printing her story and wanted to know more. Perhaps because of this coverage, police within Germany caught wind of this story and investigated Annelise's death. Annelise's family were charged with negligent homicide and taken to court in 1978. And even though they were found guilty of negligent homicide of Annelise, none of them ever spent a day in jail for her death, as the courts found that the time they spent suffering through Annelise's illness and the court proceedings, it would be almost like time served.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they were like, you've suffered enough, you're guilty, but we're not going to send you to jail. Bishop Renz, as well as Father Alt and one other priest, were all found guilty of negligent manslaughter. And they were sentenced to only 6 months in jail, but this was also suspended and they never went to jail either. So not one person stepped foot in a jail cell for Annelise's death.
Okay.
After Annelise's death, there was an autopsy performed which still found absolutely no damage or sign on her brain that would have given any reason for epileptic seizures or convulsions, quote, not even on a microscopic level. Something else that was noted during Annelise's autopsy was that there was a total lack of ulcers on her body, which is usually present during a severe case of malnourishment or starvation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Annelise could be an outlier in this, just being some kind of unique case, but it is quite strange nonetheless.
Yeah.
That she doesn't have any of those signs.
Yeah.
So as much now as back then, people are extremely split down the middle with the opinion of whether Annelise was actually possessed or if she was just very unwell and her family and the clergyman caused her neglect and ultimately her death. I personally think that even though there was some pretty strange stuff happening, that her family were guilty of neglect. Even if this case did involve some kind of possession, they totally lack the foresight to also continue with medical care, seeing that she was so unwell. Even if it was alongside the exorcisms, it may have made a difference in some kind of way.
Absolutely.
So what do you think? What is your opinion on this case?
Yeah, like I'm in both boats. I think it's definitely a mixture of both. The parents absolutely neglected her towards the end. Like first half, you can see them trying, and then they kind of just left it in the hands of the priest, which I probably would have gone that route too. And I'm not a religious person, but I think with seeing all that medicine, not working, but I still would have kept that element going.
Definitely.
Along, getting like a drip or something to keep her hydrated. Even if you have to tie her down, like try to keep
tie the bitch down.
Her fluids going. You do what you have to do, but like, yeah, maybe it's a very complicated story because obviously I do think something's happened there with her. The fact that, she had that crazy ass strength. The shit that she knew about. Yeah, the strength literally makes no sense. And then also claiming that these people were talking through her, which there's no way she would have known them. How was she doing those voices? For a girl to do that for hours and then not lose her voice doesn't make sense. That's not physically possible.
No, and she was like by that point, she was like in bed all day, so unwell. Yeah. Like, I just can't imagine that she would have, I don't know, this might be a bit of a like, what's the word? Like, not a gimmick or something, but like, I just don't feel like she'd have the energy to keep that up for hours on end.
No. And the strength is something you can't really explain it either. If like,
not at all.
Yeah, it's just it's a bad case of like unfortunately the family that she had while going through all of that. It's just super, super unfortunate that they just didn't really take care of her as much as they could have, and they just kind of like, it's in God's hands. It's in God's hands now, and it's like, nice, you'll let her die. Like,
well, that's the thing is, I mean, I agree with you that there was weird stuff happening, and in the beginning they tried to get like, the neurologist on board and the medications and the psychiatric hospital, blah, blah, blah. But by the end, when they saw her so sick, they should have just hooked her up with a drip. I mean...
Yeah, I would just be like, stop the exorcisms, like...
Just get her
this is too much. She's going to fucking die. Like, let's just get her into a hospital or something,
and that was the cause of her death. Like, dehydration, starvation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is quite complex because it's like, well, she does have the right to refuse these things because apparently she did refuse them.
Yeah. And I kind of get where they're coming from as well by not even putting the parents into prison because obviously I don't think that they weren't doing, I don't think they would have done it to like harm her. I think they were doing it to kind of be like, this will fix, it'll turn around. Like,
this is what
it'll
they believed.
Okay. Like they were, I'm sure they would have been fucking, like was years of torture for them as much as her.
Yes.
That I don't think prison's going to do anything for them. Like,
and I know their defense in court was possession. They weren't like, oh, we didn't know, we're sorry, we were naive. They were like, this girl was possessed.
Yeah.
And she died due to this possession. So it's very complicated.
So complicated. Fuck. It's such a fucking hectic story, man. Like,
I was so unsure whether to do it because it's like, I can't say this is all just a possession because there is such a massive mental health aspect that like comes into it. But I guess it's good to kind of look at both of those sides and
I think so.
Be a bit skeptical on stories like this and
definitely,
Yeah.
You did it really well. I really liked it. Even though the recording really scared me. And all I can see is that girl's face. So I know.
Oh my God. Yeah, we'll post the photos. But if you feel like creeping yourself out, just look at photos of Anneliese Michel and you won't sleep tonight.
You'll not sleep. Yeah. Nope. Oh, fucking hell. All right. What a cracker. Fucking good one to end on.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad we did those stories and I hope you all liked it. Check out our show notes because the link to our show is in there.
Yes, we really want you to come along.
If you can't make it, that's okay because we are recording it and it will be available to our Patreons. I think it's the second tier. The Hoblin Goblins will be able to watch it. So, if you want to sign up and check out the video. I mean, there's other videos on there too that you can watch.
That's the thing is we have like lots of all our like holiday episodes that we record video. It's only available to Patreon, so
Yeah.
you can watch us, be drunk in those.
Yes.
and
And get a
have
little bit
lots of
silly.
fun. Yeah,
But yeah, thank you so much to our patrons that have signed up as well. You guys are amazing.
we love you.
Yeah, and I guess we'll
That's
leave
it
it
for the
there,
night.
and we'll speak to you next week.
All right, hooroo.
Bye.
This episode of Spooky Mountain was created and recorded on land of the original custodians, the Gundungurra and Bidjigal people. We pay respects to the past, present, and emerging mob. My name is Jordi, and I'm a proud Gunya woman. Thank you for listening.